This is our Monday call, and it's my pleasure. I'm Carol Gates, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the call Sandra Gallagher. And I think you all know, but for any of you who are new to these calls, Sandra is our CEO and president of the Life Success Group of Companies. And we come on these calls every Monday. We bring Bob onto the call with us, don't we, Sandy?
We do. We came up with the idea that we would have Bob teaching, and we would introduce the topic and then talk about it. And we've been getting tremendous feedback. We love doing this, and today's topic is really, really critical for our understanding if we want different results. And obviously, if you're on the call, you want different results of some sort, whether it's changing something that you don't like or simply wanting to expand your life, grow your business, whatever it is, you've really got to understand this lesson and apply it in your life to get the different results you're going after. Carol, do you want to say anything more to introduce the first clip?
Absolutely. Just a quick comment. We told you we would get back into this idea of paradigms and along the lines of and in the context of what to do about them. So we're going to be talking today about a really neat word that I know in talking with you, Sandy, it's the same with me. I really never came across this word until I started working with Bob and his materials. And this word that we're going to be talking about quite a bit today holds really the key to changing those paradigms and creating bigger and better results in our lives. And so that's what we're going to be getting into today a little bit. And I think if you pay really close attention, you're going to find that this call is absolutely packed with formulas, with tips, with keys from Bob on exactly how to do what we said last week, which is change those paradigms and get on the right track. So should we get started?
Let's do it.
So it would appear that there's two parts to our mind. There's an intellectual mind and there's an emotional mind. And on an intellectual level, we can believe we're quite capable of, let's say, earning more money. And we sit down and someone will show us, if you just do this and you do that, then this is going to happen. And say, do you understand that? And you say, yeah. Do you think, yeah, I believe I could do that. Would you like what it would give you? What do you mean? Well, would you like the reward that you'd receive for doing that? And the person will say, yeah, I really would. And you believe you can do it? Yeah. Now think of this. They believe you can do it. They want the reward that they would receive for doing it, but they don't do it. Only those individuals whose beliefs are sound, are in harmony with the laws of the universe, and have been integrated with their behavior will emerge as winners in the new economy. Now, you know, I go back to when I first started to study this. When I first started to study this, I was working in the fire department, and I wouldn't have understood what I just read. So I'm going to read it again. Only those individuals whose beliefs are sound, are in harmony with the laws of the universe. First of all, I don't know if I would have understood what was meant by whose beliefs are sound. I definitely wouldn't understand in harmony with the laws of the universe, and then have been integrated with their behavior. I wouldn't have understood that. Will emerge as real winners in the new economy. I wouldn't have understood what the new economy was. So emerging as winners, you know, that wasn't for me. I didn't understand any of that, therefore I couldn't win. But the strange thing, I was earning $4,000 a year. 1 year later, I was earning $175,000. And somebody says, what were you doing? I said, I was cleaning offices. The person saying, how did you go from $4,000 to $175,000 cleaning offices? By doing what this statement suggests. I was an individual who had a sound belief that was in harmony with the laws of the universe. I integrated it with my behavior, and so I emerged as a winner.
Now, there's a formula right there, don't you think? He read that statement twice. There's a formula built into that. If you go back and listen to it, everyone on the line, you know that he stated it very clearly, the formula for success, and it involves integrating your behavior with your beliefs. Sandy?
Well, I love what he says. See, what we really have to focus on is Bob's talking about there are two parts to the mind. And I remember when I first was introduced to this topic of praxis and paradigms, it really fascinated me because he says you can want it, you can believe it, but then you don't do it. And so when he says you can believe it, what he's talking about there is you can believe it on an intellectual level. We've got two parts to the mind, the intellectual mind and the subconscious or emotional mind. And he says you can believe it on an intellectual level, but the reason you don't do it is because your emotions are controlling your behavior. And so here he's using the example of money, but you can apply it to anything you want. Just think about something you want and you're not getting the results you want. It may be with weight. Your intellect is telling you exactly what to do and how to do it, but you don't do it because your paradigm is controlling it. Or you think about if you're a salesperson, you go in and you make a sales presentation. You might make a great sales presentation, but you don't ask for the order. You walk away and it ends up being a social call. It's not really a sale because you don't ask for the order, but you know you need to ask for the order. Why is that? It's because you're not believing it on an emotional level. You've got another belief embedded deeply in your subconscious mind. And, I remember when I first was introduced to Bob Proctor. I went to a seminar in August 2006 in Vancouver, Washington, and I remember Bob talking about what is it that you want? What do you want? What do you really want? And I thought on an intellectual level that I knew what I wanted. I believed that I was doing what I wanted to do. But my emotional being was almost crying out for something else. I wanted to live a much more expanded life. But my intellect my paradigm was telling me, no, you should be very, very happy with what you've got. Be very grateful for what you got. And really what people were really saying and feeding into my paradigm was not necessarily settle, but don't go for any more. Be grateful. In other words, don't be ungrateful. But that's not the deal. Listen to the urge in you, whatever that urge is, and understand that if you really want it, you can get it. But if you're not getting it, if you're not doing what you know you need to do to get it, it's because of this lesson we're talking about today. There isn't praxis or integration of your belief with your behavior. It's a beautiful lesson.
What you just said is applicable to everybody because we've all been in that place where Bob just introduced this topic. He said that you believe it on an intellectual basis. Now, there's belief. So he's saying intellectually, you're saying, yeah, I'd like to have that. I understand that if I would do this and then do that I would achieve that better result, and then I don't. There's another term that we haven't brought up called the terror barrier. And a lot of times that's what we talk about. That's when you say, all right, maybe you're in a conversation with Bob, which we all know how terrifying that can be when he's looking you in the eye and he's saying, well, if you did this and you did this and you knew it would produce that result, would you do it? And you look at him and you say, yes, I would. And immediately, if not sooner, you start to get this, tightness in your tummy, you get all kind of agitated and anxious. And what that is the paradigm. It's the paradigm in conflict with a new idea. So this is really much simpler than it may seem. It's when we introduce a new idea, something that we want, that result, or as Bob said it just now, he said the reward. Would you like the reward that you would get if you would implement those behaviors? And we say, yes, absolutely. Those are the rewards I'm wanting that have been eluding me. I want that. And then he says, all right, then do it. Well, then that idea, not just the idea of the rewards, but the idea of the process that collides with and gets in conflict with our emotional being, our subconscious mind. We feel it in our body. It expresses that anxiousness, the fear, the doubt, the worry. All of that emerges and comes up as a result of the paradigm. So we've got to get to the point that we are overriding the conditioned belief. We have to override it, and we have to integrate our behavior with the new idea instead of the old belief. And I think that's what he's talking about here.
Well, it's so true you feel it in your body, because when I was in that seminar in Vancouver, Bob kept saying, what do you want? And I wrote in my book, I want to be in the inner circle of life success. I want to work closely with Bob Proctor. You know, I want to be on the executive team and create a program with Bob. And then I said about making that happen, but then when it became a reality, okay, here's the chance. Are you willing to do what it takes? You know, I had convinced myself I'm able, but are you willing to do what it takes? And so what it took was to close my practice, that 21-year law practice that it was at the top of my game, and I had the letter all queued up to send out to the clients, and I remember the feeling in my body, Carol, was just like, oh my God, pure terror. And I called Bob, and I'm like, my hand's on the send key, and it's shaking. And I said, Bob, I don't know if I can send this. I don't know what people are going to think. What are they going to say? What's my family going to do? And he said, just hit the send button and, jump. You'll develop wings along the way. And that's what you got to do. At some point, and only you know when it's right, you do jump, and you do develop wings along the way. And as Carol put it so well, you plow through that conditioning and know that it's going to be uncomfortable. Carol, let's see what else Bob has to say about this.
You sit down with a person that is earning, $40,000, $50,000 a year. They've been working hard. They may be in their 40s, so they probably started working as a teenager. So they probably have, 20 to 25 years of work behind them. And they're earning, anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And then you sit down and you say, well, could you do this? And could you do that? You can show a person how there's a possibility of earning every month what they previously earned in a year. Now, when you tell them that, they have a difficult time with it. When you ask them, can you do this, they say, yes, I can do that. When you tell them what they would earn by doing it, boom, then they have difficulty with it. See, we can believe things, but never internalize them. We've got to get to the point where we start internalizing what's going on in our mind. Praxis has the potential to cause exciting and marvelous things to happen in many areas of your life with constant regularity. Praxis is a word until now, because it's found in the vocabulary of very few people. If you've never heard the word, that's all right. Your friends probably have never heard it either. What the airplane is to travel, what email is to communication, likewise, praxis is becoming to human development. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. We have the ability, with our intellect, to sit down and think and plan. And when we do that, we can see how there's certain things we can do, and we wouldn't have trouble doing it. But then, when we start to try and get emotionally involved with it, we have difficulty. It's because we're programmed to live the way we're living. And when we go to change the program, everything goes haywire on us. And get this, it's not because you're not the brightest cat in town, because brilliant people have difficulty with this. Now, from an educational perspective, Sandra Gallagher and I would be polar opposites. Here she is, leading the best universities in the world with doctor's degrees. I never even went to high school, but we're getting the same results because we've accepted and gained an understanding of these same ideas. Sandy, how did you relate to this when you first really started to get into it, with this particular word?
Shall I answer, Carol? Well, one of the things that Bob used to do that absolutely drove me bonkers illustrates this point really well. We'd be in a seminar, and with 5 minutes notice, he'd say, okay, now you're going to go up and teach this. I'm like, what? It's like you're going to go up and teach, maybe for a couple hours. And that was just so counter to my conditioning because, you know, I was used to really, really preparing. And then, of course, but the strategy is then I won't let the paradigm, there won't be any time for the paradigm to take over and to stop me from going up and doing it. You're usurping the paradigm and just going through it. And it used to just drive me crazy. Now, it's fine. He'll say, okay, you got 5 minutes, you're going up, you're going to teach us, okay? And you just go. You condition yourself differently. You know, what is it in your life that you're stopping yourself from doing, that you're allowing your paradigm to stop yourself from doing? And I really wanted to learn to teach. I mean, I absolutely wanted to learn to teach this information. There were all kinds of other things that I wanted to do, and maybe wasn't even consciously or fully consciously aware of what it was because the paradigm was stopping me. And the more and more you study this, you start to see that, and you start to see the real trick to get the new results. Obviously, if you want different results, you've got to think differently. And so it's really about understanding the two parts to our mind, understanding that it's the emotional or subconscious paradigm that is really determining our results. Knowing that you can change it, setting your focus on changing it, and setting your focus on what it is that you really desire. And then it's about exercising discipline. And to go through that discomfort, to go through the discomfort to the point that when it rises to the level of a terror barrier, you keep going through it because you understand what's going on and you know you're going to get the results that you want if you do that. And knowing how to do something is not enough. There truly is a knowing-doing gap. And the knowing is just one piece of it, but what's really, really controlling is what you do about it. It's the paradigm that's determining what you do about it, and that's where discipline comes in. And, you know, one thing Bob always said that meant so much that really helped me a lot was he said, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Think about it. It's not easy. Why do 3% of the people earn 96% of all the money? Why really are only 3% of the population really truly living the life they want to live and being successful to the degree they want to be? It's because it's not easy. But also, Carol made the point, it's not complicated either. We don't need to make it complicated. If we're going for different results, then we think differently and we push through that discomfort. Carol, you want to jump in?
Yeah, you know, you just saying that about what you went through. You know, it's such a perfect example. We often get in you know, with all of our coaching questions in our programs, very commonly, you know, well, how do you push through that terror, that anxiety, that fear? Like you know, you have to have strategies in place, and that's what I often share with folks, that what Bob was doing with you was exactly that. He had a strategy. He knows that you are very organized, and you didn't go through all of these universities of higher learning with excellent grades and results because you flew from the seat of your pants. You prepared, you studied, you gathered the information, you did all of that, and he knew that the strategy for you was to sort of catch you and not give you time to linger in, you know, and anticipate and justify that you need to do all of that study and research. You have it within you. You just need to draw it out of you, go up on stage, and get her done. So you would, right? And that's a great strategy for helping you move through those terror barriers. And then as you did more and more, now, like you just said, he can walk up to you 5 minutes before and say, hey, I need you to go up and teach this piece. And bam, you're up on stage, you're doing it, you're confident and confident as well. Well, that's just a strategy for changing that. A lot of times the question that comes up is, you know, how do we move through that terror barrier? How do we move through it? And what people are looking for is a, you know, sort of like a step-by-step formula or something that will help them. When the reality is that most of the time it's just courageous action. You have to do it afraid. You know, it's acting in the face of fear. That is what courage is. So we really absolutely, we have to push through that paradigm. And what will push us through it? Something we want more that's bigger than the paradigm itself. When we really are going after a big goal, and, we could come up with all kinds of examples, but we've got you on the phone, Sandy, and yours is a great example. Everyone should know that everything on this call today that Bob is teaching and that we're discussing came directly from one of the chapters in Thinking into Results on PRAXIS. PRAXIS, by the way, that's PRAXIS. For those of you who are maybe wondering that, what are they saying? It's the word praxis, integration of belief with behavior. And so Sandy developed this entire program with Bob, and she did it, as we like to say, being a product of the product. All the time that this product was under development, she was pushing through those fears. How? By taking courageous action, by calling Bob, by interacting with Bob and creating the program, by going into studio and creating the videos. There was a whole other terror barrier there involved, but just pushing through time after time. And the other thing I would add to that is that the way we do that, the way we gain the courage, if you will, to act in the face of fear, is through understanding, through what you're doing on this call with us, with Bob, and in any of our programs you're engaged in. You reinforce the information, and armed with that understanding, you are more able to push through because you understand the laws, you understand the concepts that underlie and are foundational to being able to go after what you really want, something big enough and compelling enough to move you forward. In Bob's book, You Were Born Rich, in the foreword and in another place, he says it again. He says, before you begin, this is in the foreword of his book, let me caution you once again that reading and memorizing will never make it happen for you. It's only the understanding and application of the right ideas that will produce the results you desire. And notice, the right ideas, these are the right ideas. Getting your actions engaged with your beliefs, integrated with your beliefs. The other day, Sandy, I had a question that I still need to answer, a coaching email. And, is it possible then to trick your subconscious mind, sort of trick it, and that's how you override it? No, but you can impress understanding through study. We've all talked about this many times. We will forever be students of this material and any other material that is related to this kind of material, because we know it's through the understanding that we're able to build big, beautiful dreams and then go after them.
Carol, that's a good point. You talked about tricking your subconscious mind. You can trick your subconscious, or you can trick yourself, your conscious mind really is what you're tricking, into going back on your commitment. So let's just say that you've decided, okay, I'm going to do it. I want to be at my perfect weight. I'm going to release 10 pounds, and I know exactly what to do, and you commit to yourself. And then what's so easy to do, and we all do, is you start to rationalize, well, just a little bite isn't going to hurt, or just a little sip of that, and we start to rationalize with ourselves, but that can be very, very damaging because your part of your paradigm is your self-image and your self-esteem. And when you go back on your commitment to yourself, you're chipping away, you're weakening yourself. Now, the flip side, and the thing that should make us feel so wonderful, is that when you do what you tell yourself you're going to do, you strengthen yourself. When you go through that discomfort, when you go through the terror barrier, when you do things that seem illogical because they're counter to the paradigm, then you are doing what you committed to yourself, and you're strengthening yourself. And you have to go through that process. Now, the next clip, Bob is talking about, okay, well, really, what does praxis mean? And what is the critical piece to doing something really, really big, to being really, really successful? And he talks about what Napoleon Hill says about that. So, Carol, let's jump into that clip.
Now, here's key points in this lesson. Napoleon Hill pointed out, no one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. Next point, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. Frequently, if we reevaluate the situation, our belief about the situation will change. Well, as we reevaluate ourselves, our mind starts to understand how it functions, and starts to understand that we can understand how the mind functions, children learn how. Then we're going to start moving in the right direction. The next point, you will never go beyond where you believe you can go. So the trick is, let's dig inside. What do I believe is true about me? Praxis, then, is the integration of belief with behavior. Then we have beliefs on two levels. Belief in our educated mind based on logic, based on what we see and on the information that we gather. Then we have belief on a very deep level, on a subconscious level, belief that controls our behavior and is part of our paradigm. Then, with the teeth, it is essential that each member believes on an emotional level that what they verbalize. They get together and they practice this word praxis. We tend to integrate some of our beliefs with our behavior. Now, on a conscious level and on a logical level, we can think it's true. We can say, yeah, I can do that. However, one must believe it at a very deep level. From deep in the psyche, that is true. If we do not, then we must change that part of the paradigm. In other words, you've got to change what's been programmed into your mind. What the program has been doing is producing the results you've been getting. And you want to change those results. Now the next point, the truth is, you can do anything, but you've got to believe it. Without belief, it's not going to happen. Now, you know, I have come from a pretty miserable background, and not doing anything constructive with my life, to doing some things that I've even impressed myself with some of the things that have happened. We've got a company operating all over the world. You work, you can do something, earn $1 million almost overnight. These things are real. How did this happen? Well, I kept studying this material, and my belief about what I could do started to change. You couldn't watch this lesson over and over again every day for a month without changing what you believe you can do. Now, the thoughts that we internalize set up the vibration. Vibration causes the action. Action causes the reaction. It's the action-reaction that creates the results belief. And you've got to believe that you can do it.
See, now, so we really want to think about what Bob was teaching with Napoleon Hill. He says it's belief, not hope or mere wish that's going to get us what we want. But, you know, that's enough to stop a lot of people because they just truly don't believe that they can do what they might really want. But we can change our beliefs. If we reevaluate something, then often our belief changes. And we truly can do anything. That's what the whole point is about going after what you want and setting big goals. We can't make the mistake of going after what we think we can do. Why? Because the paradigm controls our thinking. So it's always the paradigm winning every time. If you're not going for something beyond what you currently think you can do, something you really, really want, you're not growing. It's the goal, it's the big goal that helps you to grow. And then it's not in the getting that is the reward. It's the growth that you experience. If you read Trower, in the Spirit of Opulence, it's so beautiful how he says that that we can make the mistake of thinking it's the getting, it's the thing we're getting that is what's so wonderful and beautiful. But no, it's growing and understanding that the creative process is taking place in and through us all of the time. That's the beautiful thing. I think about how much my life has expanded, going from a wonderful law practice to running 19 companies for Bob Proctor and living on the ocean and here in California and really living life how I want to live. But it's not these things or achievements that's what's important. It's the continual action-reaction, the expanded awareness of understanding the creative process is operating within me and then seeing the results and then raising my awareness and seeing the results. So you've got to go out on a limb. You've got to go do the illogical thing. You've got to take a jump. but then you're going to continually get more and more feedback, and your life is going to expand so dramatically. And that's what it's all about. We're here to grow. Spirit is always for greater expansion and fuller expression. Always. If someone's telling you, what's wrong with you? Can't you ever just be happy with what you've got? Well, don't listen to that, because that's your spiritual essence. That is your being saying, I want to grow more. I want to be more. I want to bring more of me to the table. That's why you're on this call. Listen to that. Listen to it. And then really, to get value out of this lesson today, come up with your big want that you're going after. And then think about paradigms. What are paradigms? Paradigms are a multitude of habits, right? A multitude of habits. So picture a big jar of jelly beans. Just a bunch of different colors. There's black, there's red, there's yellow, there's pink. A bunch of jelly beans. Well, they're all habits. They're all the same in a certain sense, but they're all different too. Which habits do you want to change right now? Which habits do you think will help you get to the big result that you're going after? Don't make the mistake of picking a whole bunch because, I got so excited, oh my gosh, I can change this, I can change my paradigm, and I picked a whole bunch to change all at once. That's a mistake. You want to pick one or two and totally commit to changing those habits and do what it takes. And remember that you want to keep studying, because the studying gives you understanding. You want to exercise your discipline. Know it's going to be uncomfortable. Know you're going to have to give up something of a lesser value to get something of a greater value. Be prepared to do that. Make a commitment to yourself. I like to say that accountability and commitment closes the gap between intention and results. So if you want to go from having an intention to actually getting results, have someone who holds you accountable and make a commitment to do what it takes. And pick one or two goals, one or two habits that you're going to work on changing and go about doing it. Carol?
Fantastic. I don't think that we should wrap up this call any better than that. I just want to add one other comment, Sandy, and that's the last thing that Bob read in those key points. He said the thoughts that we internalize set up the vibration. Vibration causes action. Action causes the reaction. And you just said it a moment ago again. It's the action-reaction that creates the result, belief. You've got to believe it. So when a lot of times people will ask me, how do I build that belief when it's too big an idea? It's too, it's beyond my ability to believe at this point. Well, this is the formula. You build the belief by acting, and then you get the feedback. So it's always the action-reaction that builds the belief. Real learning is experiential. That's real learning. So step out and act on those big ideas. Sandy, I've loved doing this call today.
That is The Art of Acting, Stella Adler. That's a great book to get into. Because Carol is exactly right. You've got to act as if, and then you do change your beliefs. The Art of Acting by Stella Adler, you can get it on Amazon. I'm sure you can get it at all the main bookstores. But it's so good because you truly do have to go out and act as if, and have the picture. Because remember, part of the paradigm is your self-image. Have the picture of the person you want to be in mind when you're figuring out what it is you want and what habits you're going to be working on. And see yourself as that person, doing and living the way you want to.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
What are we going to do next week, Carol? Is it going to be a surprise?
I have something in mind. I'll run it by you a little later, if you like.
Okay.
You know what I want to do is, in closing today, I just want to send out a shout-out of thank you to Bob. I don't know if we've done that lately, but what fantastic material we have to work with. And, of course, we owe it all to him.
Yes. Can you believe it'll be 50 years, October 21st, when Bob picked up the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And who would have thought that by he picking up that book that he would have changed the lives of hundreds of millions of people. So, yes, a big thank you to Bob for picking that book up and for devoting his life to this teaching, this wonderful teaching.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Everyone have a wonderful week and pick those habits that you want to change.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.